Boeing, once the gold standard of aviation, now faces turbulence from a series of safety incidents and quality control failures. The latest crisis, Air India Flight 171's dual-engine failure over the Black Sea in July 2025, not from a design flaw but from contaminated fuel, a threat that shakes the entire aviation ecosystem. This story is not just about a harrowing emergency landing, but a wake-up call about the fragile links in aviation's global supply chain. As we examine this incident, we'll see how it fits into Boeing's recent struggles and what it means for the future of flight. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner was hailed as a revolution, lighter, more efficient, and more comfortable than its predecessors. Its composite construction and advanced engines from GE or Rolls-Royce made it a favorite for airlines and passengers alike. Features like lower cabin altitude, larger windows, and quieter cabins set new standards for long-haul travel. The Dreamliner's reliability and efficiency made it a symbol of modern aviation. That's why the Air India incident was so shocking. Both engines failed on a flagship aircraft, shaking confidence in what was considered one of the safest planes in the sky. The event forced the industry to confront vulnerabilities beyond the aircraft itself. It was a reminder that even the most advanced technology is only as strong as its weakest link. On July 5, 2025, Air India Flight 171 departed London Gatwick for Kochi, India, with 258 people on board. The flight was uneventful until, high above the Black Sea, the right engine failed without warning. The crew, trained for such emergencies, began standard procedures and diverted toward Bucharest, but as they descended, disaster escalated. The left engine also began to fail. Suddenly, the Dreamliner was at risk of becoming a powerless glider. The pilots faced a dire scenario, both engines out with only minutes to act. Their professionalism and training would be tested to the limit. The fate of everyone on board now depended on their response. What had started as a routine flight had become a race against gravity. The next moments would define the outcome of this crisis. The culprit behind the crisis was not a mechanical fault nor a failure of technology, but something far more insidious: contaminated jet fuel. In the world of aviation, where every system is meticulously engineered and every procedure is double-checked, it's easy to overlook the invisible threats that can slip through the cracks. Jet A1 fuel must be pure. Even the slightest impurity can have devastating consequences. The fuel is the lifeblood of any aircraft, and its quality is monitored with rigorous standards. Yet despite these safeguards, a single error can allow a contaminant to enter the system, setting off a chain reaction that no one anticipates. In this case, a chemical called diethylene glycol monomethyl ether, commonly used as a de-icing agent to keep runways and aircraft surfaces clear in winter, found its way into the fuel tanks. This substance is never meant to mix with jet fuel, but a breakdown in handling procedures allowed it to contaminate the supply. At high altitude, where temperatures plummet far below freezing, this contaminant caused water in the fuel to freeze, forming a thick gel. This gel slowly built up inside the fuel lines and filters, eventually clogging the engine's fuel systems and cutting off the vital flow of fuel. Both engines, fed from the same tainted source, were starved of fuel and flamed out almost simultaneously. In a matter of moments, a routine flight was transformed into a life-or-death emergency, with the crew facing a total loss of power at cruising altitude. This was a nightmare scenario, one that every pilot and airline dreads. A modern jet designed with layers of redundancy and safety, rendered powerless by a hidden flaw in the supply chain. The consequences could have been catastrophic. The incident exposed how a single lapse on the ground, a momentary oversight, or a miscommunication can threaten hundreds of lives in the air. It's a sobering reminder that the safety of flight begins long before takeoff, with every person and process involved. It was a stark reminder that aviation safety depends on every detail, from the factory where parts are made, to the fuel truck delivering the lifeblood of flight, to the final checks before departure. Every link in the chain must hold strong. Now, with both engines silent, the Dreamliner's fate rested on backup systems and the crew's skill, as they worked together to turn disaster into survival. With both engines out, The Dreamliner was suddenly transformed from a marvel of modern engineering into a massive, silent glider. The hum of jet engines, so familiar to every passenger, vanished in an instant, replaced by an eerie quiet that filled the cabin and the cockpit alike. Its silence was broken only by the rush of wind streaming past the fuselage and the high-pitched whine of the emergency ram air turbine, or RAT, which had automatically deployed to provide just enough power for the most critical systems. The aircraft, once a symbol of unstoppable progress, now relied on backup mechanisms designed for moments just like this. In the cockpit, the pilot's immediate task was clear: maintain control of the aircraft, establish the best glide speed to maximize their remaining altitude, and begin the complex process of attempting to restart the engines. Every action had to be precise, every checklist followed to the letter. Backup systems powered essential controls, but the margin for error was razor-thin. The altimeter's needle dropped steadily, a stark reminder that time was running out as the aircraft lost altitude with every passing second. In the cabin, passengers exchanged anxious glances. The sudden quiet was unsettling, a stark contrast to the usual background noise of flight. Some clutched armrests, others whispered questions, all aware that something was very wrong, even if they didn't know exactly what. The crew, trained for moments like this, methodically worked through emergency checklists. Pilots coordinated with air traffic control, relaying their situation and intentions, while cabin crew prepared passengers for the possibility of a forced landing, maintaining calm and order despite the tension. Every second counted. From a cruising altitude of 40,000 feet, the Dreamliner had less than half an hour before reaching the ground. The margin for error was shrinking with every mile. The pilot's training, experience, and composure were now the only barriers between disaster and survival. Years of preparation and countless hours in simulators had led to this moment. The world's most advanced airliner, equipped with cutting-edge technology and safety systems, was now in a fight for its life, relying on the skill of its crew and the reliability of its engineering. The outcome would hinge on a race against gravity, the hope of a successful engine restart, and the unwavering resolve of everyone on board to see the Dreamliner safely back on the ground. In the cockpit, the captain's focus narrowed to a single goal: keeping the aircraft stable and in the air. Every movement was deliberate, every decision weighed against the clock and the altitude ticking away beneath them. Meanwhile, the first officer worked methodically through emergency checklists, his voice steady as he coordinated with air traffic control and relayed vital information. Communication was crisp, teamwork seamless, each pilot relying on the other's expertise. Their only hope was to restart an engine as they descended into warmer air, a maneuver that demanded both technical skill and nerves of steel. The cockpit was tense, illuminated by warning lights and the hum of urgent activity. With every attempt, they watched the fuel controls, hoping the ice blocking the fuel lines would finally melt. The pilots monitored engine systems, searching for any sign of life from the silent turbines. Multiple restart attempts failed, each one a blow to morale as the aircraft continued its descent through thick clouds, altitude dropping rapidly. The margin for error was shrinking with every passing second. Then, at 15,000 feet, the left engine sputtered back to life. The sound was a lifeline. Relief swept through the cockpit, but the crew knew the ordeal was far from over. Now they faced the daunting challenge of flying and landing a heavy jet on just one engine, a scenario pilots train for but rarely encounter in real life. Every action had to be perfect. The crew stabilized the aircraft, coordinated with Bucharest's airport, and declared an emergency. Air traffic controllers cleared the airspace, preparing for a possible disaster. In the cabin, flight attendants moved quickly, briefing passengers and preparing them for a possible hard landing. The atmosphere was tense, but the crew's calm professionalism reassured those on board. With reduced power and no margin for error, the pilots managed every detail: speed, altitude, and approach path, knowing that a single mistake could be catastrophic. The approach was tense, but the pilots executed it flawlessly, guiding the aircraft with precision and composure honed by years of training. The Dreamliner touched down safely on the runway, tires screeching as the aircraft slowed to a halt. A wave of relief swept through the cabin. All 258 souls on board were brought safely to the ground, a testament to the crew's skill and determination in the face of overwhelming odds. The crew's expertise, combined with the aircraft's advanced backup systems, had averted disaster. Their training had paid off when it mattered most. This was a triumph of preparation, technology, and human resolve under unimaginable pressure. A scenario practiced countless times in simulators, now played out for real. The incident would soon spark a global investigation, as experts sought to understand what went wrong and how to prevent it from happening again. But for those on board, the experience was deeply personal, a brush with disaster that would leave a lasting mark. It was a narrow escape, a moment of fear and relief they would never forget, and a powerful reminder of the skill and courage required when everything is on the line. Once safely on the ground, a multinational investigation began immediately. Fuel samples revealed heavy contamination with diethylene glycol monomethyl ether, shifting focus from the aircraft to the fuel supply at London Gatwick. Investigators traced the tainted fuel to a single refueling truck, prompting a suspension of the company's operations and a full audit. No other aircraft were affected, suggesting an isolated but serious lapse in ground procedures. The preliminary report placed blame squarely on ground-based quality control, not on Boeing or the Dreamliner's design. The incident exposed a critical vulnerability in aviation's global supply chain. Although Boeing wasn't at fault, the incident added to a string of recent crises for the company. Previous disasters, like the 737 MAX crashes and the Alaska Airlines door plug blowout, had already eroded public trust. The Air India event, though caused by fuel contamination, reinforced doubts about Boeing's safety culture and oversight. For Boeing, it was another unwanted headline and another test of its reputation. The company now faced renewed pressure to prove its commitment to safety, even when problems originate outside its factories. The Air India 171 incident is a stark lesson. Aviation safety is only as strong as its weakest link. In response, authorities are tightening fuel testing and handling protocols worldwide, adding new layers of defense against contamination. Technology is being developed to detect fuel issues in real time, and pilot training is being updated to prepare for rare emergencies like dual-engine failure. For Boeing, the event is a reminder of its responsibility as an industry leader to drive safety improvements across the board. The successful outcome was a testament to the crew's skill and the Dreamliner's resilience, but also a warning against complacency. Every incident is a chance to learn and improve, making air travel safer for all. The silent descent over the Black Sea will echo as a call for vigilance, innovation, and relentless pursuit of safety in aviation.